Turn up the volume, man. Welcome to the scene where we talking about the streets and what's in between. Race, politics, the culture, and community.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about the presidential election. It is over, it is here. We have so many different things we want to talk about. So, I am Eileen, entrepreneur, artist, and YouTuber.
Okay, and I'm Ellen, attorney, professor, and writer.
And I'm Elise, realtor and entrepreneur, and this is A World Between.
Turn up the volume, man. Welcome to the scene where we talking about the streets and what's in between. Race, politics, the culture, and community. A world divided, but this applies to you.
So, we're just going to jump right into it. So, you guys, how are you all feeling? Let's start there.
I am feeling better. I think I was numb on Wednesday. Thursday, I went through the motions, and Friday, I just really felt it. I was not feeling well. I could not do anything. So yeah, it was rough. The weekend, I did some sisterhood bonding within my community, so I'm feeling better now.
Good. Always.
So for me, I am never, ever emotional about the elections. Ever. Ever. But more importantly, I live in Texas. So and I said this to one of my friends who lives in Virginia. What we were experiencing in Texas kind of was an indication of which way the wind was going to blow anyway. And like I described to my friends, we started thinking about the presidential election in the beginning of 2024. They have been thinking about the election since January 6, 2021. So,
Wow.
so
Okay.
different perspective. But, I have to tell you that I have a lot of Republican friends that I love dearly. We have talked, and I can say over the years, I understand. So I have a tendency not to be overly emotional about how the elections go.
Same here. I at first I thought she was gonna get that electoral votes, but then I started looking at the numbers like a week before, and I was like, oh, it's not looking good. But so yeah, I mean, like I said, I have never been one of those people. Oh my God, the election! I feel like it's already set in stone, beforehand. But I was a little sad for a lot of people who are here trying to live that dream, and they're going to be going back, to their country. So, and yeah, so I feel a little sad for them.
And I'm gonna be honest, I never thought she was gonna win.
You never
When
thought they were going?
I didn't want to tell people that because I didn't want to put that in the atmosphere. But I remember I was like, no, he's definitely going to win when they put Kamala up. And I went to lunch with an older white lady. I'm in a community with her. And I was like, you all not going to vote for her. She's like, oh, no, we are. She's like, we just didn't like Hillary. It was Hillary. I was like, and I almost kind of believed her, but I was like, no. I've seen Boots one too many times. And I know they're not, and so I wasn't surprised. And honestly, I was afraid that if she did win, that there would be a whole bunch of violence and uprising on this bigger than January 6th. So I was like, okay, so what are they going to fight about now? Like where the mob's going to go? Because I feel like sometimes they are itching to just be violent, like on a Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that really is what my fear is, honestly, I think, in terms of that.
Yeah, so my biggest fear, like I don't have too many of them. I think what's going to happen is going to happen regardless of what we think or believe. But because I know that President-elect has a tendency to be petty. It has been clear, passed around, cheered how much Black women stood in for Kamala. And my fear is that there's going to be payback for that. That is my greatest fear.
In what capacity?
Just meaning that to make it difficult for Black women because we didn't vote for him. And that's just one of my concerns. I have since been at a place where I believe that white America we are a non-issue to white America, but I also think that there is a tone, or I don't know how to describe it, for certain people, like you said, they want to have violence. I just think that they're going to be gunning for Black women. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easier for Black women. They fear Black women. And when you have that level of fear, you're going to do whatever it takes to minimize that fear. Because regardless of whether people want to believe it or not, the only thing that's stopping the African American community from being where they're supposed to be is unity. And part of the lack of the unity is because they've done a pretty good job of making us do a lot of infighting. And if we can get past the infighting, like, one of the things that I want to talk about today is what we will do next. If we can get past that, we could be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But there's so much anger and hatred. Maybe I won't keep using the word hatred, but there's so much animosity. Even like I think about the manosphere and
that.
So I just wanted to let you know that the manosphere is like it is losing so many people. They're walking away from it because it wasn't realistic to have this idea that you're going to live a life without women. Most of them were there because they were experiencing some type of rage, someone left them or divorced, and then they realized, okay, they no longer want to be a part of this community because it's not realistic unless So just so you know.
Yeah, I really kind of off the topic. It's not realistic, but that doesn't hinder their ability to treat women a certain way. And I think that's one of the things that has to be addressed. But I think that social media has done a good job of making it seem like that's what everybody thinks. And one of the things that I think the nation has done a really good job of is making us believe that everyone thinks a certain way, or, like when you talk about revisiting Black Wall Street, we're not going to be able, they're not going to let us. But I think that we need to really have some serious conversations about where our power is financially, and just by sheer numbers.
So let me do this. We said that we wanted to talk about, so we've talked about our feelings, we talked about our fears. So let's kind of go into what Eileen said. What should we do specifically? I think you're going to talk about that. I have my own thing that I want to talk about. And then, Peter, what did you want to talk about?
I was just saying, what do we do moving forward? That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I know for me, I think that I really want to be active in local government, because that's where you can make a change. That's where you can really, okay, if I vote here, then this is what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I feel I've never missed a local election, maybe a couple of them, but I definitely want to make sure that I know who my alderman is, what's on the agenda. Is there something that I can contribute to or not, or something? So I think that's the first part, is to get involved in local elections.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that being involved, I done said this 1,000 times, considering your local elections, to me, is going to impact your personal day-to-day life more than the president will. Even though I think this election is actually going to start impacting personal lives, but I think local government elections are where it's at. But the other thing that I think that we need to do is to start better understanding the political process, teaching our children the political process, and being able to look at what's influencing the political process. So I think one of the things we take for granted is that we are a capitalistic society, and we take for granted that the fact that money is really driving our political process.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we get a little bit farther along, we can talk about the economic conditions that may take place because of the election.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk about the fact that we need to be radical, not only in our local elections and our communities, but also in our self-care. It doesn't seem like it's a relevant topic, but I think that it really is, in really dealing with our mental health and the stress. We all know that being Black, we are susceptible to a higher level of stress, high blood pressure, the diseases that come with the chronic stress that we're going to be facing, even if it isn't us per se, our community, people that we know. And for me, going forward, I don't want to say I'm going to be ill-informed, but I can't watch the news like I used to. I'm going to be very selective in the type of news that I listen to and the amount, because for me, that is going to be part of my mental health self-care.
Yeah, I think something that's going to have to happen so when you're talking about being radical, I think we also have to look at some of the examples of other communities who have overcome the rhetoric and the racism in the nation. But more importantly, we as a people, we are going to have to find a center. In the past, when we have been in this situation, and I'm thinking specifically about the civil rights movement, we had the church. And I know a lot of people are like, don't really want to go to the church. But I think that we're getting to a place, and I said this when I was talking to you, Ellen, where voting is not going to be enough. We're actually going to have to take care. Yeah, we're actually going to have to take care of our community. But part of that community is taking care of ourselves. And I'll give you an example. When we're talking about states that didn't approve reproductive rights, if that means that you know of a sister who needs to have help, have them in your home, give them a place to stay, love on them, nurture them, help them through the situation. I know that we have friends or whatever, but sometimes we don't want to communicate what's happening with us because we're embarrassed or whatever. We're going to really, really, really have to rely on each other, because we have to look at this from the perspective of we're in enemy territory pretty much, and the only people we can rely on is ourselves. That's really the mindset that we're going to have to take. Nobody else is looking out for us.
And I agree with that. And it's like when you say that, it made me think about, because you know how President elect Trump was kicked out of Twitter, and Elon Musk, with all his money, was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy it so I can get you back on there." You know what I'm saying? Like the money talks. So for us, it's we know people that have money, then we need to be able to use those resources, for us, not, the mainstream. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Ellen.
no, I want you guys to watch the whole thing about Feminista Jones. And I know you don't have to listen to her about the dating part, but she really was talking about like community, and they do something where it's like a group every month. Everybody pays $100, like 11 people. And then every month that you give that $1,100 to that one person. So for the whole year, at some point, everybody gets $1,100 to do whatever they need. I mean, little things like that. But she said they got that from an African tradition.
Tutu.
Yeah.
Tutu.
So that's the kind of things that I feel like we should be doing too. We got to build a community, right? With like-minded, and then at least, but
No, I'm not saying that, but I think so. So here's where I'm saying. Okay. When I say that they have been looking from this situation since January 2021, here's what I'm talking about. We think that part of Elon Musk buying Twitter had to do with Trump. Kind of true. But what he ended up purchasing was a platform, a big MFing microphone for himself and conservative views. Okay?
Mhm.
He has the ability to reach millions of people on a platform, and even if you don't subscribe to Elon Musk, you're going to get some of that conservative mindset just by I don't know how Twitter X works. I don't use it. Just by scrolling. Thinking about it from the terms of $1,100, we got to think from terms of group economics. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Claude Anderson. I have followed him from the beginning of time, but he is talking about collective capitalism because we don't have the resources to be able to compete. We probably won't ever be able to compete on an Elon Musk platform. But okay, Elon bought Twitter in 2022. And then in this election, he gave Trump like $100 million. When I looked at the donations that went into the Democratic Party, the top 5 people that were donating was given like 1.5 million. On Trump's side, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. So when you're talking about that kind of money, we have to understand that there is money to be had, and that money is being used to build an agenda that we're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. So if we're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole, we can't be like, okay, you get $1,100, you get $1,100, you get $1,100. We got to be serious about what this means. That means we're educating our own kids. That means we're taking care of our own health care. That means we're building our own economic system, because at any point in time, if somebody decides we don't need them ninjas no more, they're sucking up resources. We need to be able to stand on our own. And we just got to think. We got to think like they think it.
That is true. And then the other question is, when you say that, are we going to say separate ourselves from them, or or try to build our own everything, or what does that look like?
Okay. This is something that I feel like we have not taken seriously. I have said, look at the Asian community as a template. Asians don't necessarily participate in the political process. They do to some degree, but not really a lot. Why? Because they got their own shopping centers. Their kids go to their own math centers. They got their own banks. They have their own schools. They have their own. They maintain their own things. Now, there are some disadvantages that we have because they also have a country that backs them. The thing that we're really going to have to get straight, and I told this to one of my Nigerian friends, this whole African against African Americans and Africans in the diaspora, that got to go. Because
tell them that, because
it's not.
I said this to my Nigerian friend.
Yeah.
I said, because if you want to be honest, Nigeria can't fight China by itself. Kenya can't fight China by itself.
But Nigeria thinks they're British. They think they're British. I mean,
Nigerians know better. But Kenya, Ghana, and Nigeria together could probably fight China. because China is actually the power that we need to be concerned with. And that's really probably why President-elect keeps saying China, China. He got an issue.
China.
He got an issue with China. He got an issue with China because he knows that they are
Our biggest
coming.
competitor.
They're coming for our necks. And so, and I'm not saying that we got to focus on China. What I'm saying is we got enough people who come from the branches of Africa that we should be able to say Africa is our home. Africa is contributing to the lives of the Africans in the diaspora. There is wealth there. There's plenty of Nigerians who are some of the wealthiest Nigerians. I mean, some of the wealthiest Black people are Nigerians.
But you know who's bought a lot of land and has access to all that wealth now?
China.
Russia.
Russia.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. We gotta look at who the players are. In this election, we didn't look at who the players were. We was voting because she was a Black woman. We was not looking at what was important. We wasn't looking at the banks gave him people who were heads of banks. Banks is giving him money. Why? Deregulation in the financial institutions.
I'm gonna have to give up support. Do y'all know how hard that? I'm gonna have to give up support.
We're not giving up. Here's the thing. It's so entwined that, like, when you talk about Sephora, I got a soror who sells her product at Sephora, right? We can't disengage from those outlets without also impacting our communities. But it doesn't mean that from that perspective, because we had a trend. We had what's that hair company? Anyway, all the hair and makeup companies,
all of them
sold to somebody else.
And the formulas not the same, but yeah.
So where? So to who?
I mean, they sold to a larger company.
I didn't
So
know that.
we're not maintaining possession of the things that are important to us, and then we get emotional about the fact that, oh my God, that they're controlling us. Yeah,
because we sold it.
But we sold it to them, right?
I mean, I was really unhappy when Johnson sold BET.
Yeah.
Or Motown. He sold Motown. You know what I mean? We're like, what? So yeah.
But
his cookies, he sold them too. Yeah.
He did, and I was in love with Famous Amos.
And they weren't the same after that. But
they were not. No.
They never are.
No. So, but I have heard that there are a lot of people who are thinking the same way and starting groups, but we don't need groups. We need one. The LGBTQIA, they had the HRC, and guess what? Everybody that's LGBTQIA, they don't agree with HRC. They don't support HRC. But one of the things that we don't do very well, that conservatives do, that everybody else does, is stick to the script. We have a strategy and we say education is important and this is how we're going to do education. We stick to that script. But for us, we like, why he get to lead? I don't like the way he do, or she does it or whatever. We got to put all of that aside and say, for the sake of educating our children, this is what has to happen. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but this is important for our kids.
So I feel like we should have like a part series, a whole new series.
Right. About
like each arm or each leg of what it is we need to do. And then I feel like for us, we should give each other homework. Like we need to do it. We can't just be sitting around talking about it.
I agree. If we say that we're going to have a goal and we're going to be more active, we should hold each other accountable for standing up for that.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this, but Ellen and I, we're both D9. We got to call, on D9 to, because,
Yeah. So we both are going to be active.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I got a text the other day, and I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I will do what I need to do." But yeah, I mean,
and not only that, you guys, I gotta get my license back and
That's
act.
on that list.
Like,
Yeah,
that
definitely.
is no if, ands, or buts about it. I just got to do what I need to do to renew it. So because it's necessary, it is a commodity that I can use for my community. And I mean, I never had the urgency, but it's urgent.
It's urgent.
Yeah.
I made a comment, and I might have been talking out of the side of my neck, because when I said it, the person was like, "No, that's not right." So I'm gonna ask you guys. So I said that Kamala didn't actually run for president. And when I said that, they were like, "Yes, she did. She ran for president." I said, "No, she didn't. She agreed to take the place of Biden, but she did not have her own campaign at the time of the primaries." So in my mind, the Democrats did not have a plan B.
They didn't.
And
they should have had a plan B on January 2021. Like,
they should have. Yeah.
Should have.
But he was supposed to. He said, he told someone that the only reason I'm doing it because I want to step aside so the younger generation. He said that, but he got in there and was like, "Oh, I'm not going. I don't want to do."
Like him and Feinstein and all the to me, that's not commendable for you to die at your desk at 100 years old. You should have been retired. But
yeah. So when I said that, they were like, "No, I said, "No, she didn't run. She stepped into his place, but that wasn't where she wanted to be for herself." And so I heard, I don't know, so y'all have to tell me, that she's not made any comments since, other than her, she hasn't made any comments about "thank you for voting for me" or nothing.
She hasn't.
Okay.
She has not. But I don't want to say anything negative about her. But I just feel like she never really answered questions. Like I just felt like she never said, okay, she never answered what she was really going to do. She laid out plans of, I'm going to give this amount of money, I'm going to give this, I'm going to do, but it was, I'm sorry.
That's not answering questions?
No, like she never had her own agenda. It was still, everything she said was what she did in the past. What she, when she worked in California. That's just my opinion. I just, I'm not being critical, but I just don't think that she was ready. She just, when I say that, she just didn't have.
She didn't run. Because she didn't run.
Because she got support. It was the other people that she didn't talk about the economy enough. That's what I think, because people keep saying, "Oh, when Trump was in office, my business was better, my this was better," and I was like, I can't say that. Yeah, that's all.
The top two things that people were concerned with were economy and democracy.
I mean,
and if she didn't address either of those things,
and if she did, I think the number one thing is white supremacy.
Well, I mean,
but what about Obama? He was in for 2 terms. So do you think that was you just keep saying it was Obama had issues. Like he came in and said, "I have a dream. These are the things I want to talk about," even though he didn't do that when he got in office. But he had a set plan of what he wanted to accomplish, even though, But
I think Obama is why she and Hillary both lost. I think there's a segment that just did not want and will not ever vote for definitely not a black woman, but definitely not.
Well, they're not going to vote for a black woman or any race of woman before they vote for a white woman. That's just not going to happen. And maybe
I don't know if they're going to ever vote for a woman. The way look, if he said she's not the way it's supposed to.
I mean, some of the comments that I was hearing, I was like, is that how people really think? Like, we can't be led by a woman. Is that how people really think?
Even women, some women think that. I mean, and
I
not all women are
know.
the same.
I mean, of all the things that were shocking to me, I was like,
Yeah. And it's shocking that women were saying that. I was like, but you all know that the women, mostly uneducated white women voted for Trump. Mostly educated white women voted for Kamala.
you can believe that.
Okay. You think educated ones? I mean, I'm not saying no educated. You think the majority of educated ones did too?
Voted for
52.
For Kamala.
Uh-huh.
I think that if they were married, they voted however their husband voted.
Mm.
I think that who you get to vote, because we have to think about party. Who is voting for the Democratic Party is not always necessarily educated women. They're feminist women. There's a lot of different.
But see, yeah, and I
subgroups.
consider myself a conservative, but there's no way I could have voted for Trump ever, because the things that he stands for, I couldn't vote for that. But I consider myself a conservative, but I'm mostly voted Democrat. But
Why do you say that? You consider yourself a conservative? Like,
Because most Black people are actually.
Yeah, I believe in family.
I can wholeheartedly say that I am not a conservative.
I bet if we went through the list, you're probably more conservative than you think.
Okay.
Because culturally, Black people tend to be more conservative in mindset. But we vote Democrat because we think that they're going to take care of us, and they never have.
Ever.
And I think
You're right.
And I hate to say this because I know people are like, oh my God, but Kanye West, Candace Owens has been saying it. They have not been doing anything. They just been garnering our vote and then saying, thank you very much, Negro.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you got to do to survive for the next 4 years. But I've been hearing people say the Republicans, and by the way, we also should understand that sometimes Republican and conservative are not the same people.
Right.
But the Republicans are not looking to leave for the next 16 to 20 years.
Not at all. And they have it unlocked.
Yeah. So if you're talking about the Senate and the House, we could have did that on the state level. That was a state level vote.
You're right. You are very right. And I don't think, like they say, I've never seen this before, where it's a Republican president and a Republican Senate and House.
All three branches.
Never seen it before. And then when the forefathers put this in place, that's not what they intended either. So
no, because historically what would happen is, if I have this right, the president, whoever was running for president, the losing candidate became the vice president, I believe is how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look that up, but
back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. So if Trump won, then that would have been horrible. I would have been like, I'm sorry, Sister Harris.
Right, they could be fighting. But yeah, but
that's how you keep a balance of power. Bless her heart.
But what happens in 2 years though? In 2 years, won't there be more Senate seats up? Because which one's only every 2 or every 4 years? I gotta go look that up. But I always thought that in 2 years, if they don't like what the president's done, then it will be like seats up for grabs in one of the Senate and the House, and they will flip it. So it's one of them, the Senate or the House, because I know that the terms are different. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, but the terms have nothing to do with the candidates.
Right.
And the Democratic Party has not done a good job of raising good candidates.
Right. And we
I
haven't,
can't-
like you said, done a good job of vetting our own.
Yeah, I feel like as many people as we have, as many African Americans that we have in this country, there is no reason why there should not always be an African American candidate who the people have chosen. And this is one of the things that I really want to say about D9. I am guessing that there are at least bare minimum 1 million Black folks in D9. Omega Psi Phi just started a chapter in Nigeria. So we're also global. We're also, connecting globally to Africa. I know we got chapters in Africa. There should be no reason why we don't have a PAC and a candidate. You're muted, Ellen.
You're muted.
Right. That's what I said. Right. Well, you guys, this has been interesting. It is clear we're not gonna go through everything and all the things in one show. We got some work to do.
We do.
Both
We definitely
internally,
do.
within our communities, within ourselves. Like there's a reckoning,
Yeah. Yep.
This has been a reckoning, and I hope that other people's eyes are open. We may disagree on a lot of things, but I think we're very, very clear on what it is that needs to be done.
Yeah. If you want to be an entrepreneur, now's the time to do it and get your products in the hands of your people. If you don't know anything about cryptocurrency, if you don't know anything, because you got to look at who gave him money. Banks. Didn't Microsoft give him a lot of money? So technology, Elon Musk is concerned with robotics and space programs. That's where we're going. So
that's what I said. I told her that. I said, we're going
to
invest.
Make sure you invest in, even if you do a drip into Tesla and all of those, make sure you invest in, get your money up, because it don't make no sense for us to not be able to, because rent's going up, housing is getting ready to go up, food prices, everything is going to be going up. And we definitely don't know what the impact of tariffs on China is going to be.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What do you all think?
Thank you guys for listening. Please comment, subscribe to our channel, and share so we can help us to grow.
Hit that like button. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Turn up the volume, man. Welcome to the scene where we talking about the streets and what's in between. Race, politics, the culture, and community. A world divided, but this positive.